This episode of the All Automotive Podcast is brought to you by our friends at GeForce Automotive. GeForce Automotive is a certified service center through Auto Value. Want to make an appointment? Go to their website at www.geforceautomotive.net. Click on the banner that says Make an Appointment and make your appointment today. And now, the next episode of the All Automotive Podcast. All right, welcome back to another episode of the All Automotive Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Clausen, and today we're talking about what you should do if something goes wrong at the repair facility. So, let's say you bring your car in and something goes wrong where, that place doesn't fix it right, or something happens afterwards, or it's months down the road and something happens. How should you react to that, and how should you approach the repair facility so that you get the most out of what your reaction is and what to do in that situation? So I had a situation come up this past week at the shop, and it's actually kind of spurred this episode about how, as a customer, we should react to anything. I mean, I don't know that I would really react it the way this person reacted to me based on the information that we had. So in the next half hour or so, I'm going to talk about this situation, and I want to kind of convey our angle and where we're coming from, and so that you as a customer have a better understanding of how to approach a situation like this. What's your best, how to put your best foot forward. How's that? And so that you can get the result that you want. And that, the result that we all want is to fix your car, is to get your car fixed, right? And it was last week and Sunday, I'm sitting on the couch and watching football, and I get, because I'm dialed into my business, and I get information daily about my business. And when customers respond and contact us through our website, it sends me an email. So it says, I'm sitting on the couch and I get an alert that I got an email, and I was just like, okay, yeah, it's a website contact. So let me take a look at that really quick, because it's 8:00 Sunday Night Football. I'm waiting for the game to come on, and really wasn't doing anything but sitting there and waiting for the game, actually, right? So it's Sunday, and this just horrible email comes in, and it was a situation where, and this person really wasn't nice in this email, and I would read it for you, but it just, at this point, it was one of those things where, okay, you're upset, and I get that, and that's a reaction that some people have. And so anyway, we did a oil change and a brake inspection for this customer's daughter, and wife brought the car in for the daughter, and we did an oil change and inspected the brakes, and everything was hunky-dory, and they left, and it was fine. And this, mind you, was the tail end of July. I want to say it was either the last day of July or the 30th, or one of the two, or 31st or whatever. And, it's 4 months ago. Apparently, the customer said that the oil level was low, or he had drove it and the oil light flashed or whatever when he was driving. And, he approaches his daughter and says, hey, what's going on? And she said, oh, well, it does that. Well, daughter's 45 minutes away at a college. It's not convenient, really, for her to bring it to our place, obviously. But if there's an issue like that, and especially if we've done something like an oil change or anything to do with your engine, and an oil light's coming on a month or so after you get it replaced, hey, that's a problem. We need to call and hey, Matt, what's going on? Can you take a look at this? But I guess the bigger point is that, it was 4 months ago. We haven't had any opportunity to inspect or assess anything. This guy, in so many words, calls us everything but what we are is qualified technicians. And he wasn't pleasant about it. And the way that he went about it, I didn't really appreciate. And it's just like somebody coming up to you, yelling at you, and telling you, how come you did this? And it was 4 months ago. Well, there's a lot of different factors that are involved with what's going on. And because I have the opportunity to look into this on a Sunday, I was like, so who is this person? So, immediately I'm like, holy cow, what's going on here? And I was like, okay, so I got to the bottom of, and he accused us of putting the wrong oil filter on it, and that's why it was leaking, and he can't find where this number is. And, folks, listen, if the oil filter is incorrectly installed, number one, we're going to know that before your vehicle leaves. And it's the oil filter is actually a nut. It's like a nut. It's got threads that are female threads that go onto a male stud on the flange, and it spins down and it's tight. So there's really no way to not install it correctly. It's kind of an easy process, actually. So on this particular car, it's in the engine bay, and it's very, very easily accessible. It sticks right out. I mean, you can see it. As soon as you open the hood, you can see this. And I'm not going to name the car or the customer's name or anything like that, just to keep this episode completely confidential. It sticks right out at you so you can see it. And, again, the customer's accusing us of putting the wrong oil filter on, so we're looking up that. I'm looking that up as I'm sitting there. I was just like, well, man, I don't think that thing would have went very far if we put the wrong oil filter on it. And again, each oil filter has a different size. A lot of them have the same size and same pitch. And we have a numbering system that told us it was this particular oil filter number, and based on our catalog. And again, I hate to be a little bit forward, but, we're the experts, and we have the opportunity to change oil every single day. We do 4 to 6 to 10 oil changes a day. And, yes, there's an opportunity to have an issue when you're doing that many oil changes, but we block out an entire hour to make sure that everything's good with your oil change, and if there's anything wrong. So again, this backing up a little bit, accused of putting the wrong oil filter on because he can't find it on any lookup that he has. So behind the scenes, the oil filter brand that we put on had gone through a major change and a major overhaul because they switched companies that make the oil filters, because the oil filters are made by a company called Wix, and they switched away from Wix to Champion Laboratories. So Wix and Champ are two of the biggest companies that make oil filters, and when the switch happened, the new company decided that there were several oil filters that were cross-covered, and this oil filter number was one of them. So the number that we put on was a conglomeration of 3 different oil filters that had the same size, same filter size. It had the same nut size, let's say, same thread and same thread pitch that would go on and have no problem. So in our catalog and our stuff is all correct. And there seemed to be no issue when we put it on. And we start the vehicle to make sure, and we look to make sure the oil filter is not leaking before it leaves, so that if there is an issue, we can address it right then, or we can change the oil filter for whatever reason. If it didn't seal, or if the rubber gasket isn't there, or whatever, we have the opportunity, and we put this safeguard in so that we don't have an issue with a simple little oil change. So, and that was one of the guy's comments is that if you can't do this right, I'm concerned about what else you can do right. And, and I didn't think a couple, the comments that he made were kind of fair. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to call and talk to this person in person over the phone and get this person's reaction. So Monday, and in this email, let me back up just a little bit. And in this email, he made it very clear that he was going to send wife in with daughter's car, and we were going to fix this or else, basically. And, no problem. No problem. We take these issues very seriously, and it's something that is so simple as an oil change, really, that can be so complicated if something goes wrong. So now, we don't want to have you have a catastrophic failure of a very expensive part. So that's why we put these safeguards in before your vehicle leaves. We check everything, check the drain plug, check the oil filter, make sure the oil is full. We reset the oil life. There's procedures in place. This isn't just a wham bam thing. And even when I worked at the quick oil change place, we had several safeguards in place for installing the correct oil filter. I would have the technician at the bottom show me the empty box. He would throw that upstairs so that the upstairs person could tell and make sure that the correct oil filter was put on, because, the communication between the top side and the bottom side. So a lot of that stuff that I learned through that quick lube place has transferred over to my business, and I have the technicians that do the oil changes do these safeguards. Check the oil filter. You go around the car a certain way. We set the tires a certain way. It's all because of my experience in that. And having managed one of those quick lube places, it's it was very easy for me to bring all those procedures over. And some of those we use and some of those we do not. But we do, again, we start the vehicle, we make sure there's no leaks at the oil filter, we make sure there's no leaks at the oil drain plug, and then we make sure that the oil level is full after it's run, before it leaves. So 4 months ago, this thing left, and if there was an issue with that oil filter leaking or having an issue, gee whiz, it would have left a puddle or something on the ground, and we would have potentially addressed this in the month of August, let's say, because it was the last day of July. We would have had 4 weeks to, she wasn't at college and it was still August, and she had a couple of weeks prior to going to college to get this addressed. So Monday morning I get in there and I had to take a customer home. And then when I got back, I had asked my staff, I said, did somebody of this name call? Oh yeah, I talked to mom and daughter. They were going to bring it by, but she's got to get back 45 minutes away to college. And I was like, so I'm asking all these questions like, okay, did we make sure the oil was full, or did we ask that question? And yes. We asked all the correct questions when you call and say there is an issue after your oil change, because if it's got a huge puddle of oil under it and something's happened, potentially catastrophic, we're going to send a tow truck to come get your car. This isn't just it's not something we take lightly, and the customer's concern, we don't take that lightly either. So I did have the opportunity to give this customer a call. I called husband, because husband is the one who sent the informative email to us. And I kind of was just like, right off the bat, I don't know that I was really worried about it, but I was kind of like, I understand you were upset, but I kind of take offense to a couple of those comments. Number one, because we didn't have the opportunity to address it, we didn't get a chance to defend our position. It's just like, you're guilty of this, go to jail. And, I was like, well, wait a minute. We didn't even have, and then to find out that she wasn't going to bring it by. And I thought this was a big concern. At least come by so that we can check the oil and make sure the oil filter that you're accusing us that is wrong and is leaking and has caused it to be low on oil, at least let us take the opportunity to make sure that there's no issue with that. Because the oil filter can fail. It's a part just like anything else. And it could get a hole in it, or, something could have flown up. But, this one is again, it's obvious. It sticks right out at you. It's upside down in the engine bay, and you open the hood, and you, like I said, you really can see it. So anyway, I was talking with this gentleman, and I said, I really didn't appreciate the comments, and we didn't have a opportunity to address it. And then, my staff talks to your wife, and I guess we can't bring it in. Okay, well, and then he was like, oh no, I was like, well, do you think that was? Did you think that was? I understand you were upset, but did you think that was a right thing to do? Is to call us stupid, and then expect us to jump over tall fences to help you out at that point? I mean, it's just like in regular life. I think people, if you're gonna go up and insult somebody and then ask them to do something, are they going to be really receptive to saying, hey, you're an idiot, but I want you to take this jug of water and put it in the water machine? No. I mean, and that's just a kind of an abstract, example, but it's just like, this is real life, people. And we're human just like anybody else. And I told the guys, like, look, man, I get up in the morning, same way you do. I put my pants on the same way, left leg, right leg, however you do it. I mean, we're human, parts fail, things go wrong. I guess I would have, and I told him this, I said, I guess I would have really welcomed these comments had you called and I said, well, there's no way we would have done that. There's no way. We put the right oil filter on, go away. In so many words. Like if I'd have just been rude to him and hung up the phone on him, then I would expect that kind of an email to say, hey man, you guys are stupid. If you can't do this, what else are you doing wrong? So there's where I kind of took my offense to the comments, and he goes, well, I didn't call you stupid. I said, well, at the end of the email, I'm saying, sir, I'm not here to argue with you or anything like that, but please go reread your email. And then if you'd like to call me back and discuss a solution that works for all of us, then I'll be happy to talk to you. But I'm not going to talk to you if, number one, you're going to be rude like you were in this email. And I called him and he answered the phone, which I was already on the upper side of that because I called him. So I explained to him that, hey, daughter went back to school and wife says everything's okay and she's going to bring it in on Friday. Oh no, you guys couldn't get it in until Friday. Oh no, sir, that is incorrect. That is very incorrect. We take these problems seriously. We told her if at all she could stop by on her way out of town, we would double check the oil, make sure the oil filter was on tight. And if it was leaking in that 5-10 minute time frame, we can tell that. And we would have swapped it out and changed her oil and got her on her way. At the very least, changed the oil filter and topped off her oil and put oil dye in it to see if it was leaking oil somewhere or if it was leaking underneath. So that wasn't a priority for mom or daughter. So daughter's got to get back to school. And I understand that. And this is something that, hey, you're on their end. I can understand when you guys are goofing up our, this is something that should have been done right. And I understand that, but allow us to have an opportunity for 5 or 10 minutes. And I get it, people, if you're upset with something that's gone on, it's not in your best interest to just whip out the insults, because I can tell you at our repair facility, every single one of my employees takes their job seriously. We don't come to work dreading our jobs. We come to work and we're happy to be there. We like what we do. We like to provide a service for customers and we like them to be happy. In this particular instance, we didn't have the opportunity to react. And if, like I was telling the customer when I talked to him, I was just like, well, I guess I would have welcomed comments like this after I told you to go away, in so many words. Like, go away. There's no way we would have done that wrong. Come on. Really? And again, going back to my comment, it's just like, what happened? What happened to people, or what happened to this guy that would put all those comments in there? And it's just like, you just want to ask the guy, are you okay? I'm not sure where those comments are coming from, but I don't know if there's something underneath that and this just set you off. And, and that happens too. I've been through a lot of different scenarios with customers, and it's just, if there's something else going on, then that's not our fault. If you're irritated about something else that happened, don't take it out on me in an email because you think that things aren't right. Give us the benefit of the doubt. I mean, we're the experts, right? And it just seems like the auto repair industry, as a rule, and I don't know why this is a rule, and it needs to change. And I don't know why the auto industry is looked down upon. And I mean, we're working on very sophisticated automobiles. I just got a brand new 2024 Chevy Silverado, and this thing has got more technology than I'm sitting in front of creating this podcast for you. This thing has more technology in it. It keeps you in the lane. It stops you if somebody pulls out in front of you. I mean, seriously. It tells me how much air's in the tires. I mean, we're working on very sophisticated automobiles. We're not stupid. So that's where I kind of took offense to that. It's just like, I've spent 30 plus years honing my craft and honing my skills to provide what we provide to you. To be insulted? I don't think so. So again, I took offense to that. And so my advice to customers and to you, if there's an issue with the auto repair facility, it's just give us the benefit of the doubt. Say, hey, I had my car in there for a check engine light, and you fixed this, and a couple weeks later, the light's on again. Okay, so in this particular instance, the check engine light comes on for 150 different reasons. And we won't know that until we scan the code and see if it's the same code. If it is the same code and it is related to what we've done, we are a reputable repair facility that has to provide a warranty, outstanding customer service to you, to our parts people that we deal with. So it's not in your best interest to fly off the handle at the first instance that there's a problem. And if this is the second or third time that you've had problems with them, explain that. Explain that. We're all taught as little kids, use your words. So if you call or come in or whatever, again, it's not in your best interest, I think, and you're going to get more receptive things if you're pleasant about the problem. And I get it. You're upset. Hey man, I paid all this money and this check engine light's back on again. Okay. So if it is something that we just replaced, then we'll take care of it. And if they don't take care of it, that goes back to that other episode. Is that really the repair facility that you want to take your vehicle to? Go get a second opinion. Did they do the job right? Okay. So, and I'll be the first one to admit we made a mistake. Wouldn't you be more happier with anybody if they own up to their problem? It's just like regular life. If you own up to your problem and say, yep, that's it. We missed this and we're going to fix this for free. And that's what we've done before. And I'm not sitting here on a high horse telling you that we're perfect and that we don't ever make mistakes, because mistakes get made, things get missed, and situations like this arise. And I tell all my staff and whoever I've had working for me is that we create our own problems. If we don't do something right, that's going to create a problem with that customer. If we don't call you by a certain time or we don't give you informed about what's going on, that creates an issue, right? So 9 times out of 10, we're we're the ones that are creating the issue. And if we communicate and communicate in a way that is constructive for both parties, then things get fixed a little better. And if we'd had the opportunity to inspect it, like if he was on our doorstep on Monday morning and, hey man, you guys did this oil change, it was like 4 months ago and it looks like it's leaking. I don't know. I do oil changes myself, but I can't tell you that the oil filter is bad. I think it is. I don't know. Isn't that a little bit better than calling us stupid? I think so. So again, if we communicate what's going on and we can speak to us like human beings, because we are, and we make mistakes, we've made mistakes, but allow us to correct our mistake. And if doesn't satisfy you, then okay, that goes back to, is your repair facility reputable? Do you really want to go there? Are they the kind of people that you want to deal with? Because some of the best customers that I have and are ones that we've had an issue with, that we've had a problem, and it's all in how I react. It's all in how we react as the shop. That I've said before too, is like, look, I've had this problem. Oh wow, well let's dig into it and let's see what's going on. Let's stop what we're doing and take an interest in your problem. It's not like I didn't take an interest in their problem or tell him to go away. And that's the kind of vibe that I got. And that really wasn't the right way to do it, I didn't think. And this situation came out pretty well. And mom came in with daughter and apologies were made, but we worked it out. We definitely worked it out. We got to the bottom of it rather quickly. The oil filter wasn't leaking. It's the correct one. The mother stated that the oil was only a quart low, so in that amount of time, she was really close to being due for her oil change. So in the end, maybe it was just because it was a normal thing that was going on. So we took the steps to put the oil dye in it, and she's going to drive it this week to see what was going on and bring it back. So, and again, we had offered her, didn't have a whole lot of time when they came in again, and it was offered up and they accepted that we would change the oil at no cost and install an oil filter of their choosing if they want, and they weren't questioning our ability to pull a numbered oil filter off the shelf and stick it on there. So, so the situation worked out rather well, but so we've got them set up for that courtesy oil change, and we will get that situation taken care of. And we have made better friends and better communication with this customer. And again, like I said, some of the best customers I have are some customers that we've had a big issue with, and that we've taken care of them, and they're very appreciative of the way we handled the situation, whether they were irate when they came in and we allowed them to we allowed them to speak. And if you get immediately cut off and anything, really, you're just gonna I'm not listening to you. So we take the opportunity to let them explain themselves, and then we take the ball and go from there. So again, this situation worked out really well, and I'm pleased with that. And I want everyone to know that, when situations come up with your car, your best foot forward is to treat us like we're humans and we are professionals. Because I think, like I was saying, the automotive industry historically has unfortunately been looked down upon. And, we're trying to change that. We're trying to let you see that we're professionals, and we do all this training, and we take all these tests, and we have to be certified in order to work on your vehicle. It's not just staring at your phone it's not just a nut and a bolt anymore. It's computers and data lines and displays and all kinds of stuff. So it is very complicated. And, like I say, we take our job seriously, and we want to be there, and we expect to be treated as a professional. If you don't think that that's right, then, maybe you have a particular issue yourself. And I didn't really want this to get into a psychology discussion, but, again, we're professionals. We're human. Things happen. There's a lot of stuff that's in our control, and there's a lot of stuff that's out of our control. What's in our control is how we react to you and how we react to your situation. If we take the time necessary to listen to you and then go from there, and the solution for that issue is acceptable to you, then we've done our job. You're not going to come into my place and tell me we've done something wrong, insult me, and expect me to do great things. But if you come in and explain, the situation and, how you feel, and just say, I'm upset. Okay. That's it. That's totally acceptable, and a lot of times we can, body language is all there on that one. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. And I hope this conversation that we've had in the last half hour has helped you see the issue that you may have or had, or it may spark you to call that shop and say, hey man, what's going on? This is what we had fixed. And, cause if we don't know, there's nothing we can do about it. And, if you're telling us something and we're not listening, that's a problem too. So again, I hope in this last half hour, you've understood where we're coming from. We're professionals. We take our job seriously. There's a lot of stuff involved in working on cars nowadays. And I'm here to tell you, it's not easy. It's not an easy process. It's not something that's just wham bam anymore. And even with oil, I can go on and on about oil changes and how complex they are if you really want. And maybe I will in one of these next episodes or so. I will explain that there's 020, 520, 530, all these different style oils that we have to keep up with, that we have to stock and we have to have in order to do the job, in order to provide this level of service for you, for something as simple and complex as an oil change. So hopefully, like I said, in the last half hour, you've got some insight on how to put your best foot forward when you're talking with your repair facility when something's gone wrong. All right, that's going to do it for another episode of the All Automotive Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Clausen, and hopefully today you got some good insight on what to do when things go wrong at the repair facility. If you're listening to us on iHeartRadio, click that follow button. That lets us let you know when there's a new episode. Until next time, I'm Matt Clausen saying, hey, keep that greasy side down.